The new Custodian was created to help save an 1840s Columbian printing press. Both the physical knowledge to do so, but the knowledge of how it's used and how it can be relevant and can exist in a contemporary context. The press had been deacquisitioned from the Abbey Pumping Station Museum's collection, and I knew this was an opportunity not to be missed. It becomes rarer and rarer to find these presses. The day of the move arrived and it had been pulled out from the depths of the museum's large object store, past coal-fired chip vans, double-decker buses and steamrollers, and sat quietly still on 2 pallets.
No papers or anything.
Probably last used in 1953 by the looks of that packing. Giles, who had agreed to be the mentor on the project for me, and who helped move the press, helped take the press apart, bit by bit, bolt by bolt. The majority of the press is made from cast iron. It's strong, heavy, but brittle. We were inspecting each part of the press for damage it may have previously sustained, and whether or not we had every part. All but the press handle could be found. But after searching, 3 crates down appeared the handle, and Giles was confident we had every part, and therefore I was too. After over a year of research and looking for funding for the project, it was time to move the press to the workshop, and I knew I had a crowd of people waiting for me, including local news and funders and people anticipating the press arriving at the workshop. The first thing I wanted to do was strip down the press, so take off any of the old stuff that was on there, including the old tympan wrapping and things like that. And then it was kind of looking at the surfaces and working out how much I wanted to restore them and how to do so. Katie, who is an artist, tutor and volunteer at the workshop, and Jimmy, who was with us for the work placement for the entirety of the project from the Y, helped clean down each part, learning each surface's contours, whether it was heraldic dolphins, eagles, serpents or flat printing surfaces.
So to start off with, we basically had to find out if we had all the pieces. So when it was picked up from Abbey Pumping Station, we weren't totally sure, because they didn't really know what they had, whether we had all the pieces. So we went through an old book which happened to have a blueprint of the press in it.
The axis point.
Right, so yeah, that's
so
fine
that axis point is on that bit.
Yeah, that's good. From there we then made some little labels and labelled up all of the pieces that we could find. So we've been putting this press together over a series of weeks. We've been cleaning it up, lugging it around, and we now really feel a certain ownership of it and a love for it as well. It's something you don't really think about when you're printing, the engineering that goes into the presses. So it's been amazing to kind of see that side of it. We're all really excited to start making new work on this press and actually get it living again, getting it back into working condition and creating artwork.
That's what I'm saying, so it hasn't got to be perfect.
We had about a month to restore the press, mainly working on an afternoon session once a week, and that was a scary amount of time. I thought I might need more time, and I had these days set aside in case I needed them, but it turns out we didn't need them, mainly down to the skilled hands of the people I was working with. As we were cleaning it down, part of my fascination with the heritage of it was starting to unpack these layers of dirt. We were going through and kind of hoping we'd find this ID tag for the printer that used it, or the closest we got to that really was a toenail. We found a marking on a leather strap that put it in Leicester, but unfortunately no more identification of where it was before.
Stainus and Sons, Leicester.
I was really lucky to be up close with this press as an artist. I can imagine back in the day when the printer was using it, he'd come into work and this was his work. He would come in and be almost shackled to this press and have to care for it more as a profession. This was someone's livelihood, and I'm now restoring that back so it can be used again. This was a pivotal moment where it could go very right or very badly wrong if we discovered it had been battered by industry and the surfaces were no longer flat.
The reason I'm here today is, I guess, to provide guidance and instruction as to how these presses go together. I guess I'm one of the few people in the country who, through sheer fluke and misfortune and genuinely no forward planning, has spent a lot of time working with these types of machines.
Yeah, all good. I think it needs to maybe move this way a little bit, but yeah, it looks good to me.
Just give it a bit of wiggle.
Let me just move forward a little bit. Oh no,
Okay, cool.
Good.
I got it.
It was an awareness that came to me that through working on them over years and years, and it was very much that the standard practice was that I would install a press, and then the fine adjustment, the tweaking, which is essentially what allows you to get a good impression, we would set, and then you would walk away, and that would be it. We'd forget about it, and then I would have clients phone me up or get in touch, not annoyed, but just say, well, it's gone out of true, and I would go back and I would fix it, and it just slowly dawned on me that actually isn't how they would ever have been used. You know, you're the guy who would have used this as his everyday instrument to earn a living, you know, the master printer who would have been, you know, a well-respected and very well-trained man generally, would have tweaked them constantly, and that is how they work. They go out of true, and things wear and things stretch, and that's the nature of the beast. And so now I very much take the view that part of the package I provide is to convey this to people and to teach them how to do these daily or weekly, you know, tweaks to keep the press working perfectly. I think it's just, you know, maybe it's a modern mindset of you know, fit and forget, or we plug something in and we assume that, you know, that's it then. It just works, and if we're using very old machinery, we maybe have to revert to a slightly older mindset of how to use them. It is a very rewarding experience to see what essentially was mothballed machine. You know, essentially it had been largely forgotten, certainly not used for the best part of 70 years. To see it cleaned, to see it brought back to life and producing work again, and to see how, you know, happy it makes various people. It's all good. it's all good.
After all these years of being idle, the feeling of pure elation when it actually worked and printed really nicely. As an artist, I'm interested in printmaking and its rich language. Part of this language is heavily informed by the processes and machines. These presses, once invented, manufactured and used by industry, are now in the hands of the artist, maker or artisan like myself. By using these presses, we bring them to life. They stand heavy and still until interacted with. As well as the traditional techniques such as letterpress, lino cut, I really wanted to explore the possibility of new technologies such as 3D printing and laser cutting, combining one of the oldest with one of the newest printmaking technologies. However, all of these processes are relief printing. Whether this is already cast metal type, levelled hardwood blocks or linoleum, the process stays roughly the same. Ink is applied to the relieved surface and pressure is applied and a print is created. We are custodians of these objects. These objects will outlive me as they have outlived those before me. To have the opportunity to prolong the life of this press, its processes, and learn the skills and knowledge to preserve it for others is rare and important. Sat in a storeroom somewhere, gathering dust, in my opinion, is not the place for an object that can still exist and create and inspire.